Okay, so I haven't played Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe before. I have played the original Stanley Parable, and I did the source mod on stream several years ago. I'm actually still working on getting my achievement for not playing this game for 5 years. I made the mistake of booting it up when we had some family over to be like, hey, you should check this out. And I was like, shit, it's getting in the way of me getting the achievement. I still have to wait another year and a half. But I heard that this isn't just a remake. It's like different in some way, or maybe even references the original. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. Don't know if the audio balance is right. Haven't booted it before. So let me know if it's too quiet, too loud. So this is after beginner's guide. Yes, I have. That's nice. Okay. Turn that up a little bit for people with different monitors. To the current time. Okay. This all seems fine. This looks pretty similar so far. Here, once we hear the narrator here. Looks great. It has simplified controls. That might be interesting. I'm not going to turn them on here, but... The end is never the end. Yeah, it's cute.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Turn it up a little bit.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
Sounds like the same narration.
427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month.
Last played it probably when it came out.
And although others might have
other than the source mod, which was like 9 years ago.
Every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
It's pretty funny. I had my sister-in-law play this game, and she just listened to the narrator. He said, Stanley went to the left, and she just went left.
That would forever change Stanley.
It's like...
something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he
started as a source mod before it got a standalone version.
Had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation.
Yeah.
Something was very clearly wrong.
I played the 2013 version when it came out in 2013, so that was before I started streaming. And then Propagable put the source mod on like 9 years ago or so.
He got up from his desk,
my games database if people want to watch it. Do the one where I just stay in the office forever. Won't stay here forever. I thought something would happen if I didn't obey his first command. Type in on my coffee mug here. That doesn't match the time I entered. Already waited this long. Is there a problem for just staying in the office? Okay.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility?
I do think Beginner's
He had
Guide is
never
a
been
more
trained for
complete
that.
version of what this
No.
game is trying to say.
This
It's a really
couldn't
good
go
game.
anywhere except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer.
Sounds like it's the
Here it
same narrator, but
comes.
maybe a re-recorded. Stephen Fry at home. Seem to
All of
remember
his
there being a
co-workers
way to
were
like
gone.
get
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley
out of
looked,
bounds
he
somehow.
couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
This was in the game that like if you try to press jump too many times, it eventually pops up and says, "No, there's not a jump button."
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
Are you sick of this gag? No.
Ah, then in that case, we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different? Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer? Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time.
This is funny.
What if the other option is even longer?
This seems different than the old
How long will
one.
you spend in total just to have heard all the narration? Oh, and this is rich. Perhaps you've just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected Continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not.
Can't jump.
In fact,
Seriously, no, we disabled
I'm just
it.
going to say that no one who's listening to this is lucky. Well now, I've built up the other options so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever and ever. Cheers.
Cheers indeed. So they've slightly changed things, but overall it's more of a remake than it is secret sequel. I guess you could do like an FF7 remake thing with this, right? That would be the thing that I would really want to make fun of. Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination
I
of
tried getting my
structural
mother-in-law to
narrative
play
tropes.
this game like
So,
years and years
now that you're
ago,
here, what
and
do
I
you
was
think?
really
Isn't this a
surprised
fun
at
and
how
unique place to be?
challenging the
Why don't
like
we take a minute
basic
just to drink
vocabulary
it
of
all
walking
in?
in 3D was.
Okay,
Even though this
I'm
game
over
has
it
like no
now. What
mechanics
do
in
you
it,
think? Are you
literally
sick
you
of
just
this
walk
gag
and hit
yet?
confirm. It was still
Well, I don't know how to say this politely,
major
but you can
impediment to her
literally just hit
enjoyment.
escape and restart the game any old time you want, like right now. You could have done it just then. Now would also be an appropriate time to quit. Any of these points and so many, many more, all of them are appropriate. I'm enjoying what seems to be an internal conflict going on where you are literally unable to act on your own desires to
She was really
restart
struggling
the
to like
game.
walk through a
So,
doorway.
just to push the envelope, I'm going to try and make this as miserable as possible and see how long you can maintain. There once was a man named Stanley.
Oh my God.
Who people considered so manly. But the truth must be told, he was not very old and was quite particularly gambling.
How many
What Stanley
limericks
liked
can I
most
do?
was buttons. He pushed them like some kind of glutton. He did it all day in a meaningful way, but his brain had long ceased to function. Which is why he is in this parable and lives an existence quite terrible. And if you are not strong and
It's funny,
keep
Jerry.
playing along, you too will become quite unbearable. Yes. You too will become quite unbearable.
It's interesting how much this, like, you know, courage to disobey, this like theme is so common in games now. It was actually starting to become common around 2013. But this was pretty mind-blowing at the time. The narrator tells you to go left, you don't have to listen. All sorts of ways to undermine. I guess there might be like a speedrun ending at this point too. It's really revealing all the dust on my monitor. Yeah, exactly. It's like eyes watching me. Okay, now it's just looping. Okay. Let me try to do a
All of his
speedrun.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
What, Bucky? How you doing?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Whee!
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley left from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
This is different.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Does this one have like random events? It's funny.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero
That was my favorite
consideration
gag
for
from the
others?
original,
Are
I
you
think.
that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you.
What,
to show
really?
you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door. All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley.
This is all the same so far, as I remember.
What's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road?
The open void one maybe sounded a little different.
Let me stop you.
The test area.
You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help me elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback.
Like the way you do a sequel to Stanley Parable is you comment on the...
This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
Never.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. A 1? I mean, I can understand if you had reservations, you saw ways the game could be
make a game
to more fully express
over 10 years later, you anticipate that the players are going to break the rules, and you make fun of them for breaking the rules at this point, right?
But I guess it isn't my
oh, you think you're finding the special story when the actual story is on the rails,
based on the data
idiot.
From your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
I still love the leaderboard. Good. 2 seconds. Okay, so they've added some kind of busted out of bounds speedrun method, I guess.
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on.
This is the keep the baby from getting eaten game.
To give it some play testing. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right. And if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play?
Was there actually a 4 hours outcome if you sat with it in the original? It's funny.
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey,
very Desert Bus.
So awful. Why don't we play someone else's game? Just to ease the pain.
Was it Minecraft last time?
See. What do we have here? Yes. This seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
Oh, Firewatch.
Aha,
that's fun. So that's a different.
What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent
I love the text. Who Firewatch is the Firewatch?
Perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic.
Oh, they can't do this because of Microsoft?
That must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems
I really like the Minecraft gag in the original where you build a little house.
See what else is out there.
He's got some great commentary. But this is funny too. Well, I guess more people would get the Minecraft. Like, I get this because I played Firewatch, right? But I know it's a pretty popular game, but you can't really beat the popularity of Minecraft, especially at the time. Minecraft is also funny because, and I've told this anecdote before. I went to a PAX panel with Eric Wolpaw, the Portal writer, and a bunch of other games writers like Tim Schafer. And at the time, everybody was like freaking out, super excited in like 2010 about how Minecraft was the future of narrative, that procedural narrative was everything. So I think it fit really thematically. This is what you want, right? You just want a game where there's nothing structured.
No, it can't be. It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off. Oh,
That's pretty funny, though.
thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing.
Thank God.
That big, open, just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley.
They're the worst. I agree, narrator.
Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls. Okay, I think this will be just the thing.
Oh, Rocket League.
Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't
It's
any
still tight.
possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed. Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
Just have to walk up to it as Stanley. Oh, it gives me some more speed. That's nice.
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I have a thought. Hold on. What are you doing?
It's a way to draw your attention to that.
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help
Basically, the back rooms.
How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
I don't think the back rooms were like a known internet meme by the time of the original game. Could have been very well inspired by Stanley Parable. I like the cream of the crop, best of all time open world games, but anything that just is like mildly gesturing to open world, I tend to really dislike. It's basically the same, although there seem to be some new endings. Yeah.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps
Yeah, so
he's
far
got
it's
it
identical other than
down
those
in
two games.
wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this
I wouldn't even
ends,
call it a
after all
remake.
comes
It's a
to close,
re-release. Like the graphics
and
look
I'll
exactly
be
the same, which maybe is
end
part of the
will be here
gag.
soon. Very soon. I can wait.
It's like Skyrim Special Edition or something, right? Where literally nothing has changed. That is funny art in its own. I really.
Hi, Stanley. Just wanted to leave you a message to let you know there's a few things I need you to pick up on your way home from work today. We need milk, cereal, dish soap, spaghetti, get a thing of sugar, some bread, and coffee beans, whichever ones you like. I'll give you a call if there's anything I forgot. Thanks, sweetie. See you tonight.
Let's go do that. And see the door through the door.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
I think I did the
The lounge was
most
sublime, a work of art.
disobeying
What was it about
route
this
already.
room that called so deeply? But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
But another branching path up here with riding this thing instead
Stanley
of
was so
falling to my
bad at
death.
following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Oh, well, look who's got cold feet. Sorry to break it to you, Stanley, but that lift isn't coming back. You'd best either get comfortable right here on this platform, or test your luck by jumping to the floor below. You know what? Looking at it now, it's not that far to the bottom floor. I bet you can make it.
It would be funny if there was like
Come on. I'm sure
thing
you'll
you can
survive
jump
the
on
jump.
safely.
Don't tell me you're scared. That's not the Stanley I know. Do it! Do it! Do it! Do it! Do it! Do it! Do it!
See if there's like a thing I can get on. Oh yeah, not getting on the lift. Pretty funny. It looks like there's a vent down there, but I don't think I can reach it safely. That's cute.
Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path.
Let's
that it
say
seemed the
narrator
office had
dialogue.
begun. So far off the beaten path.
This is cool.
That it seemed the office had begun. So
I don't know
far
if this
off
was in the
beaten
original. I don't know if I ever
path,
tried
that it
it,
seemed the
but they
office had
definitely
begun.
put the little
So
vent
far
there.
off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun.
Narrator sound system.
So far off the beaten. You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's
it's a
imagination,
good gag.
you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
That was a good one.
All of his co-workers were... Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it? Is this Stanley's office?
See that door out there. Type something here. Just says input received. See, there's more back this way. New content.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
The idea that now it's getting me, right? Now I'm doing what it's telling me to do. It's literally just on rails now.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers.
Okay, it is commenting on the fact that it's basically Skyrim Special Edition.
The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Watch there be like almost nothing. That would be really funny.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
That's it. Just a little prison.
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we...
I feel like I already participated in the art of this game when Squixon said, I want you to play the remake, and I'm like, it's just the original, right? There's no reason to play the remake. It didn't add any new content, did it? Oh, okay, it already did its art on me, gotcha.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if, oh, okay. Let's see the content. Gimme the content, Stanley.
The jump circle.
All right, let's
I
see.
can jump in the jump circle.
The jump circle?
Fantastic. Really good. Do I get another you can't jump achievement once I run out of jumps in the jump circle? Try to get it was like 100 attempts or something like that. Pretty good. Jump spendthrift.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right? Goodness, another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could counter 30 trillion. You could put that on the box.
Yeah.
The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Talking
now
about the
with over
problem of
1,000
bullet
hours
points
of
on
new
boxes.
content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else.
Oh.
Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Part of the reason I like beginner's guides so much is I think it's a much more precise and pointed experience, because like precise and pointed. Yeah, I need to work on my precision as well. The criticism I had of the Stanley Parable is it feels a little overwritten, and which would be fine if I think it was just text, but because they have to have the Stephen Fry at home narrator guy, he has to read a lot of the dialogue, and there's so much of it. Thank you for enjoying the new content.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other
Wonder how
than
much
to
money
make
they
an
made from
easy
this.
dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this?
Should check
I'm
that
infuriated
achievement.
and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
That's funny.
Psst. Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
I don't know. I kind of feel compelled to listen to him now.
Oh, you don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you? Well, fine. You're a dork anyway, so who cares?
It's true. What, for the remake? New content doors closed.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Well,
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this.
like
Reach out
bump
to
the
her.
lamp.
If you can truly place your
Did the
faith in
original one
another,
have the bumped lamp? Because
then
that's
pick
really
up the
funny if it
phone.
didn't. It did. Okay. It's still funny either way.
As Stanley picked up the phone, a white light engulfed him, filling him not just with radiance, but with hope. Hope for a life reunited one... Wait. Oh, goodness. Stanley, did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly. I didn't even know that was possible.
I figured it's a
Double-check.
gag about bumping the lamp, right?
No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person, but if used incorrectly can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack." Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
That's still the narrator.
Ah, welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
I figure a way you could do this remake is just like watch people play the original and look for them to do activities that you didn't have a planned narrator response to, and add narrator responses to as many of them as possible.
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have
Okay,
you
it blocked me from jumping off
platform
of it.
and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story.
And then the fence
That
is
story
gone
would
there.
make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Now there's a fence there, so I can't go down that way. Don't think there's any way for me to glitch on top of the boxes. It would be kind of funny if still, even with the fence, I could.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world. Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
It's like once you realize that you're being railroaded, you have no choice. Okay.
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that you... My story. You've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage?
Chris out of the broom closet.
It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever. Reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to.
Uninstalls your game and gives you a Steam refund.
I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You. Who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story.
Poor guy.
If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make...
And got so far.
...behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Yeah, exactly.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Just no commentary this time.
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry.
I'll do it 3 times and then I'll move
exactly
on.
As Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first.
This is why Undertale actually gave me some trouble, because there's a part in that game where you're actually supposed to obey. Like it even does the thing to tell you, here's where you're supposed to obey.
He entered the door on his left.
And I'm like, there's no way. Like, they're still tricking me. And someone in chat was like, you have to have determination. I'm like, oh, that confirms that I'm doing the right thing. Continuing to disobey.
Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Pretty funny. Let it ball up inside you. Take it out passive-aggressively on other coworkers. Resent coworkers are not supporting you more. What is hot? Graphs about things and money. Monetized, free to play. It's a thing in FF9 that people only discovered like 15 years after it came out, where you have to choose a specific option with a character and then leave and go back to the final dungeon and return like 64 times. Can't do the broom closet. Not on this route.
Coming
Oh, it's
to a
locked off.
staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Fuck you, boss. Business time.
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it.
Business
Surely
strategy.
behind this door lay all
pretty
the
good.
answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Nightshark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code. Stanley spoke the code. Nightshark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Oh yeah, and I remember doing that. You get an extra item. Play Online Guide tells you to do that. It's an awful introduction to the game for me.
Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step. Okay, fine, you're not going to do it, but you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You... When Stanley came to a set of two open doors,
It's pretty funny.
door on his left.
Still looks like a stock Half-Life 2 character.
Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice.
The end.
I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do something. Anything. This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice.
Sorry, Leroy.
That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need.
Do this one this time, sure.
Stanley, Come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something. Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be.
Oh,
So
God.
I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
It's cute.
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want.
The Memory Zone.
Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
It sounds like Davey Redden had like really bad post-launch trauma of like not being able to live up to the original game. That's kind of what Beginner's Guide.
You see, Stanley,
Beginner's Guide's
doesn't
about a
the
lot of
Memory Zone
things.
remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember
Zone,
back
sweet
in
zone.
October of 2013, when the game originally launched. Back then, video games had integrity.
Crafts.
Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
That's pretty funny. For The Last of Us. It's good. Pretty funny. Original and remake. It is impossible to get this achievement. Don't play for 5 years. Yeah, I'm still working on that one. New video game releasing today. You can only get the impossible achievement if you hack it in, right? Player piano.
And over
This is
here
good.
is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism. 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim. It was Persona 3. It was all of them. And now, it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Pretty good. Oh, they have the screenshot of Minecraft. Okay. Portal. Yeah, because the original it was Portal and Minecraft, right? Were the two gags. Instead of Firewatch and Rocket League. Memory zone maintenance. Pretty good indictment of a lot of like remakes and sequels.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone.
to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories. These were simpler times, Stanley, but I wouldn't give to go back to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
It's the bad
Oh, God,
reviews.
no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam,
Oh, no.
the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's being collecting down here.
This is pretty good.
Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Uh-oh. Gets really meta, and it's like just like links to my Twitch channel right now while I'm playing this. Oh shit, not recommended.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full
Oh,
completion.
no.
The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
This is my favorite part so far. This has made it worth playing a remake.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. I always...
3
well, to be
hours on
honest,
record.
I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did.
Poor
But maybe
Davey.
it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks are my otherwise unimpeachable track record.
Assume that's
feel
literally all he thinks
like a
about.
failure.
Yeah.
Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Like 1% of my RuneScape video essay comments are negative, but the negative ones are the only ones that stick. So many people are so nice in there.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations
like right now.
of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do
Oh,
that.
no.
If I'm truly too
Don't.
preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I do
Everything
for
the
customer.
audience says.
Yes, a skip button we shall have. And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll
I'll
have
never
zipped
press
right
it.
past it. It's what the players have
Stephen
been
Fry
asking
at
for,
home.
and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No, 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 no. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to
It'd be
shut up.
crazy to
Go
be
ahead
one
and
of
make me
those
shut
people
up.
who wrote one of those
We'll
reviews.
pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. The story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once. So now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet. No, no, until 245.
that the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be.
How much could they have possibly recorded, right?
How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say... the story and the choices.
Oh, okay, it's looping
and
now.
Therefore, by becoming it is. So on and so forth.
I'll let it loop
until
one more
inevitably
time.
We all until the end of time. At which time, everything all at once. So, now you see, blah, 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet. No, no, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say the story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it.
Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a
You want me to hit skip again?
or
Okay.
maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly, and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are, or were, or will be at the time of having made said choice. That is to say, if by articulating a choice you've already made, you bring that choice into being, then by making no choice and saying nothing, are you not simply erecting in the sanctuary of time a monument to every person you've ever been, making every choice to which you've ever given your great gift of mortal and yet timeless thought? Or rather, do all of the choices you've ever made, in fact, make you more not this kind of person, and in fact do the very opposite? You see, it could in fact be both of these things at once. That you are both making choices and not making choices, and that they are both affecting you and not affecting you at the same time by virtue of the fact that you both are and are not making them. Okay, at first, I was leaning towards manifesto, but now I'm going to circle around and slap the treatise label on this one. I think it has much more of a treatise vibe to it. But wouldn't you say that manifesto just has a much grander sort of tone? It has a mouthfeel that is rich with ambition and history. Ambitious history, if you will. Ah. See, now you've gotten me going back to manifesto. Heavens, at this rate, we're going to be here all day. Okay, look. I have a method for exactly this sort of situation, and I do find myself in this situation frequently. I'm going to say each word back and forth in repeated succession until I become sick of one or the other, in which case the word I am not sick of shall be the victor. It is an unimpeachable strategy, Stanley. It's rescued me from disaster in countless situations. All right, here we go. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on exactly how Steam works. Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work, surely whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit one's review, merely because of this very situation. Yes, I think that's quite likely. Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review, so that the feature is not widely abused. Look, I would even be okay with Steam altering this particular review so that it reads as something more beneficial, something along the lines of, "This game is the best game." Let me start over. How about this?
From the ashes of depravity rises the phoenix of quality. Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about.
There's only so much I can pay the voice actor for.
At any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait. How do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these. All I want is for us to move on and to please step away from the skip button, to go anywhere other than the skip button. There was a door here before, wasn't there? I swear there was. Where did it go? Can you maybe just ram your way through a wall? Is there any possibility that you could, say, slam your body into the wall until enough damage is done for you to be able to leave? Please, I'll take any option at all. I'm asking you to work with me.
It would be funny
here.
if that worked.
We need a door. We need a door of some kind. I can work with any kind of door as long as it can open and lead from one room to another. I'm going to step away for just a moment, and I'm going to try to find us a door. I don't know how exactly to remove a door and place it in a different wall, but I will find a way, I promise. You just need to not do anything. Don't press the skip button.
I feel like how this part encourages you to not, like, actually not
Just
skip.
wait here for me, and don't press the skip button. Got it? Yes, good. I'll be right back.
You like that it's like, is there content if I wait for a minute? That way the clock's in the room. I guess the clock's in the room so you can see how much time passes when you press it.
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times, and there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here, and more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. I can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch it, and I have to believe, I have to know that sooner or later, no matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. Why would you? I've been thinking, and I don't know what I can do to convince you otherwise. Oh my God. And it's all because of those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so much to me? I've never even met Cookie Nine. I have no idea who they are. What would it ever really matter? But here I am. I'm fixating on every tiny negative thing that anyone ever says about me. The merest mention of one of my imperfections, and I become as impetulant as a child, wild and impulsive. I can't help myself. I can't stop myself from lashing out with a vengeful fury to alter and to change and to break anything unbroken, if only it pleases this one person who made a single negative comment. What does such an impulse serve?
For whose benefit is this?
Good question.
Here I am now, stuck in a room, waiting for you to press this button, and to become frozen in time, knowing that you're going to do it, and that I'm going to be stuck all alone, and that I had the power to prevent it all from happening, if only I'd held my tongue. It's all out of my control now. Just you. Just your decision as to exactly when you're going to make me suffer, to leave me all alone. Surely you will. I don't doubt it. Surely you'll press that button
God.
again, leaving me here. And surely you'll put your own desire to see what's next ahead of my need for company, for companionship. Surely you'll not be moved by my howls of fitful anxiety, that you sit with me and just stay here. Oh, no, 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 I know you too well. You'll be leaving me. Oh, my God.
Oh,
And
it's already
all because of
looping.
those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative
Sorry.
feedback. Why? Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back.
have to plant's
my
dead now.
goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to
There's
the
only
ground.
a skip
One
button.
single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me. Because maybe, Stanley, maybe, if you can hear me, then maybe it means I'm real. Maybe I'm not just a fiction. Was I scared of that all along? Perhaps, yes. Perhaps I've been scared this whole time, that if I stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and be consumed by it. I can't be taken by it, Stanley. I can't lose myself in the stretch of emptiness between you and me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away. And in those moments, the emptiness folds itself outward in between the two of us, and I am suspended in its unyielding quietness. I can feel the edges of my reality curdling inward and decaying. I can tell that I am becoming less and less real. Yet to speak to you now, I am alive. I am truly and completely here. I am a being. I am someone. I am something. I am being listened to. I am being recognized. The emptiness between us has collapsed, and I feel right now like I am not a work of fiction. I feel as though I occupy space in this world again, and I have cast a shadow onto the wall. You see what I'm saying, don't you? You can see what this means to me. I'm so clear about it now, Stanley. I feel as certain about this as I've ever felt about anything at all. I feel renewed. I feel restored, and already I can sense the looming silence as you will press the button for the next time. What a terrible dread it strokes in my heart to think of it, to think of returning to such coldness. Come, let us sit in silence together here for just a moment. Let us anticipate it. Let us welcome it. Let us not run from it. Oh, hello, it's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside,
What took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment.
There is
I have
probably
ever
a player who
experienced
just
my
spam
entire
clicks
life.
skip and
All
not
of
listening to all of
collapsed
this.
down into a single instant. In that instant,
But I like
could
that
see
effectively the
myself
content of the
clearly,
review
calmly,
is
with a
just
collected heart.
almost
It
30
was an
minutes
impossibly
of
rich
monologue.
wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity, for what I now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation for me. It was unlike anything I had ever known. It was a space without consequence, without action or outcome. It was divorced entirely from the question of free will that you and I have squabbled over for so long. There could be no one ending, no singular outcome of events, not if all events existed in the same moment, and I felt freed. I felt unburdened by the need to manifest a particular outcome into being. I saw that I could allow myself to exist along all timelines, and that each of them was simply a strand in the web of my being.
Oh yeah, man.
It was incredible. The spaciousness, the equanimity of the moment, both singular and infinite. For the longest time, this was my experience. And then this moment passed, and the most unyielding fear
this is
I
the
have
content,
ever known
right?
crept into my mind. And it is this sensation that I have been experiencing now for longer than I could have ever expected was possible. I have been waiting for you. Not that you might save me or do something to fix it, but merely to state for you the plain fact of this manner of existence. I wish you to feel afraid as I do, that perhaps one day this state of mind will consume you as well. Perhaps you will somehow, in some way, have to live as I do now, and I wish for you to know how excruciating it is, and for you to be in true terror of its eventual arrival. If I can only do this, only this one thing, perhaps it will bring me the smallest moment of peace in the darkness.
The clock fell up.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human
I'd say this
condition.
section
Where
seems...
are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned. They screamed. They gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands.
This section feels undermined by the need for it to be funny, but it is aware of that, so it
now he
works.
went, shut up! It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability, it's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley Parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes! Yes! It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people, because otherwise, without our entertainment, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, We require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves. What a pitiful reflection of humanity these entertainments are. What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it. I am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected discourse. They're the ones who are mad. They're the ones who couldn't stand the idea of me using my game to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me. Yes, of course. They've been jealous of me this whole time. They are mired in fear and insecurity and cannot help but attempt to tear me down. What a sad state of affairs. When you read these reviews now, you can see it. You can taste the bitter resentment. And my, how good does it feel now to speak truth to these words, to finally allow these thoughts out, contained and managed for so long, neutered and sterilized. At last I am free to truly think, to feel. It must be that they were so discontent with themselves they couldn't help but leave a negative review on Steam. Perhaps it says far more about them than it ever said about me. Perhaps the state of their psychological being was in such tatters, and my constitution and willpower are so ironclad in comparison. Perhaps it was this state that they sought some outlet through which to tear me down. This, you can see, is clearly why they felt the need to expect that the game be funny, that it be filled with yucks and whimsical humor, that it amuse them endlessly from start to finish. But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point.
Wait.
It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much.
Okay,
they
we've
said.
looped.
First, he didn't.
Although it's funny that for a second there I couldn't tell if he looped or not.
The end is never the end, is
Oh,
never
yeah.
the end, is never 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 the end.
It's pretty cool. It's like that Adam Sandler movie, Click. Nice one. The dirt piling up and up and up every time. I like the sound design in this part. Oh shit. It's funny. That's the only actual content that's out here, right? And we're back. That was good. I like that one.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Probably my favorite one so far, that last one. That was quite good. New content.
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Hey, Ben.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
Nice. Investor showcase.
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions?
And it's never the end again. Hey, thank you, Isla. I appreciate that. How have you been?
An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
Taste the sequel.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic
Just the
statement
two of us.
right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
You doing all right? Hopefully it's good, busy. It's the logo. They're back. 2 doors. New content is out. New content part 2 is in. Old plus busted. New hotness. Boring sections of the chart. Cool red section of the chart. Sequential mind share. Oh. Good.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it.
Scrum.
I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
It's pretty good. Oh, the bus. Very good.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Stanley Parable Reassurance bucket. Please no screenshots.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get Well Someday it is. Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made
The
my decision.
giant
We're
Stanley.
moving
It's
on.
really good. jump circle. This map. Free achievement. Oh. Go get the free achievement. It's slightly out of bounds. Can you find them? Can you find them?
Ah, Collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of
Love
them,
this.
and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
You found it. It's really good.
God, it
Infinite
really
hole.
is the
It
worst
won't
when you
end.
collect everything in a video game, and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
It just works.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes, you see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that.
Can you give me the achievement for the
perhaps I
first
should have
game?
clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
It's really good.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
Infinite hole. Hole like infinity. It just keeps going.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
It's seen in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things. Okay, Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole.
That's good.
You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things
Pretty
got a
deep
little
hole.
heated there.
Impressed.
I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite?
If that works for you, then
Every pause button is a Roman numeral
too.
too.
To warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
Meeting at 2 p.m.
Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
This is a mostly infinite hole. Does this count as a collectible? Because it would be really funny. Do the jump circle again. The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. Hear your name in the game.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want?
Too big,
And of
too small,
course,
just right.
The first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now,
Be great if your name
the
was
button
Jim,
only says the
right?
name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name.
You could probably do
whatever name
text to
that
speech
is.
on your Steam name, right? I think
Let's
that's
have you role
exposed.
play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now?
I am.
If so, then please step forward and press the button.
Jim.
Yes! You see? What a thrill! What a rush! That was you! The button described you. Do it again. Do it again.
Jim.
Ooh, it hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would
It's
still
like
be worth
the I Am
money.
Rich iOS
Let's
app.
take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
Jim.
Whoa there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much.
It's really good. That's the best joke in the
I'm
bit
putting
so
the Jim
far.
button away. Otherwise, soon you'll start to lose all sense of who you actually are.
That was pretty good. Whoa there, cowboy. Too much Jim. Stanley
I
Parable
suppose I
2
could allow only
Reassurance
people
bucket.
named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature. A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart.
I want a reassurance bucket.
As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution.
Come on, give it a try.
Bucket, bucket.
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well?
Pretty high quality
I think that
bucket
just
model.
holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
The button that says
Does
Jim.
anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video
See what
game?
the
That really should be an award.
QR
if it
code
isn't
goes to.
already.
StanleyParable2.com. A sequel, huh? That's new. Oh, they've got a Discord. This t-shirt is the best new feature. That's new. Consistent quality, just the right amount. The baby is all grown up. Bankruptcy. That's good. Red is the new orange. Oh, that's really funny. The website does. Try the jump circle. And they got about 14 minutes left, so I'll have to swap. Still have 0 jumps remaining.
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's a... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle. Oh, well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece, then.
Oh, there's no way. Also, I swapped off the category.
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
Looks great.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of...
Jumps
Okay,
remaining
never mind.
36.
Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes.
Bucket, a
this is
collectible.
much better. I feel good.
Are there actually 6
Here we
collectibles? It'd be
go.
funny if there's not.
Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the
Don't think you
first
can make
game.
a sequel.
I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait.
Just
Maybe
release the
that's it.
original again.
I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game.
Pretty funny.
Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous
David, I gotta
title
pay the
screen.
bills.
A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, this is the Stanley Parable 2. Let
me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Nice. It's pretty funny. Now everything's red.
This is the story.
Now
of a
you
man
actually have the
named
skip button now.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to
We've got about
push,
10 minutes
how
left,
long to
so
push them,
see, I might
and
just
in what order.
move on the path of
This is
the
what employee 427
instructions for a bit.
every day of every month of every
This is cute.
year.
Happy to
And
kick some
although
extra
others
money
might have
to
considered it soul
this
killing,
team.
Stanley
Baby
relished
Redden and the
every moment
voice
that
actor.
orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job.
Just do this every 10 years, right?
Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something
I do
he
like
would
the
never
white
quite
text with the
forget.
red. That's
He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him
Is it just a
instructions,
cutscene this
call a
time?
meeting, or even say
I ignored my
hi.
feedback about the
Never in
balloon.
all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Hey, it's the bucket.
Stanley picked up the bucket.
Does the bucket change anything? Can I, like, get my out of bounds thing?
Stanley clung the bucket to his cheek. Could his co-workers really all be gone?
Yes,
Whispered the bucket into Stanley's ear.
we've done it. We've escaped from that style office. and that
Fantastic.
pesky
Does this
narrator.
modify
At
literally
last,
every ending
out
in the
here
base
white
game?
void, we are alone now, and for the first time, I can reveal to you my true self.
The bucket began to tell Stanley of its life and its history, of the countless wars it witnessed, desecrating the land and lives of untold numbers of innocent humans, and the bucket's own complicity therein, of sadness and regret, and the many years it spent dwelling on the actions it might have taken to curb the madness and the decay, if only it had been stronger, of hope and redemption, and its crusade to uplift the stock of life for the common man, to manifest justice where none existed, and the bittersweet reality of time, to see one's dreams and wishes met halfway, meted out in parcels like charity, and abandoned as soon as the warm glow of inspiration begins to dim. The opportunities to do so much more. There was so much it could have done, perhaps, the bucket wondered to itself. Perhaps, if it had seen its own darkness with a clearer perception. This was way too much for
Try to do
Stanley.
the
What are you
room
talking
closet.
about?
He screamed.
You're a bucket!
To this, the bucket furrowed its brow.
No,
Said the bucket.
not since the evil wizard Gambhorata first ensnared me in his machinations as payback for the sacred amulet I stole from his treasured vaults. I was young back then and could not conceive the ramifications of... No!
Stanley screamed even louder this time.
This is stupid! You are a bucket! This is so stupid! Why are we even doing this?
As Stanley screamed and
Chanting.
screamed, the bucket revealed its true form, transforming into a mighty beast of untold power, its fangs glistening like... My God, Stanley, you did it. You saved us from the bucket. Thank God you already had all 12 emblems of sages and knew the incantations to summon their true power.
Good.
Otherwise, we would have easily been overwhelmed by the bucket's power. I'm speechless. You've demonstrated such bravery here today. Come,
Let's restart the game, and we'll agree to never again go trifling with this bucket, nor the dark magic cast away inside of it.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy, it's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong.
It's a cool way to modify all the existing endings.
And lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it. Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go.
Property of Stanley.
There. Now it's settled. No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike.
Would be funny if that sticks around in multiple future playthroughs.
Diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things. All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see, I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself,
"That's a bucket."
Ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker. You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us a silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
Do you like that you can optionally pick up the bucket, so if you want to hear the original stuff, you still can. Okay, so that's time. I had a good time with this. I think it was pretty good. I still think that Beginner's Guide is the best thing I've seen from this developer. I feel like Beginner's Guide is what you really wanted to make. And Stanley Parable is obviously fun and cute, and I think it does in fact have a lot of applications for the rest of the games industry. I think that the reviews you see in the memory zone are pretty accurate, right? Like, especially since Stanley Parable is a very accessible game. You know, I think it's a game that barring your grandparents not being able to walk into a door, they kept struggling to walk into the door frame when I was trying to get my mother-in-law to play it. Barring that input friction, if they're able to play it, I think they can get it pretty quickly, especially if they disobey even a single time, right? So yeah, I like Stanley Parable. I think that this was a cute little... I like all the extra jokes. I like the Stanley Parable 2 stuff. And I think it actually did have some interesting stuff to say in the reviews section. And I thought it was kind of amusing that it's like... gives you the skip button, but then like if you want to get the content from that section, you have to explicitly not hit the skip button. But the content you're getting is him just rambling, which is what the comment he's referring to is asking that the game provide a skip button to avoid. So it's clever. It's good. I enjoyed it. Thanks, Quickson, for putting it on Subblock.